All right, welcome to today's episode of the Money Sense mini workshop. I appreciate you for joining me here and I thank you. And for those of you who are watching online, I appreciate you as well for being a part of this, and I hope that you will find value in today's conversation. So in today's class, I'm going to be teaching you what I refer to as financial wavelength. And I am going to be showing you how the financial wavelength you are born into affects your financial progress and prosperity. That's the first part. Then the second part of this video will be to show you how you experience different financial wavelength as you go through life and how to behave at each point so that you can afford to alter things in your favor. And I will also show you how your behavior as you are experiencing the different levels of financial wavelength stop you from making financial progress. So if you're ready, right? Fine. I can see that you're excited. So I am also ready to share with you. So let's get right into it. Financial wavelength. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. Now, let's look at this graph. Okay, this graph is very important in what I'm going to explain now. So this is what I refer to as financial wavelength graph, right? Now, what does the financial wavelength graph show you, especially as it refers to the financial reality you're born into? Now, here is the thing. We have the trough, right? We have the trough or the valley of this length. So we have the trough, that's the bottom. Then we have the peak, right? We have the peak. So then we have all of these other positions between the trough, that's the base, and the top. When people are born into this life, they are born in three positions on this wavelength. Okay? Any human being that is born into this life is born in one of the three positions on this wavelength. Now, the first position is the bottom, the trough, right? The second one is the path. The path could be going up or coming down. Then we have the third position, which is the peak. So anyone who is born into this world by a woman is born in any of these positions. This is the trough, this is the path, and this is the peak, right? Now, those who are born in the trough are people who are born in, number one, people who are born in a poor environment, right? People who are born in a poor environment, people who are born to ignorant parents. Okay, people who are born in a poor environment, people who are born to ignorant parents, and people who are born to a poor family. Now, poor environment talks about your geographical location, right? And I love to tell people that if you're born in third world Africa, your case is different. Your chances at wealth is very slim, and that's why you have to play the game of wealth differently. You cannot afford to coast. You cannot afford not to be in sync with what's going on. You cannot afford not to understand your reality, because if you play with that, poverty is going to mess you up big time, right? I tell people that if you are born a black, you already have a problem, right? Anywhere in the world, you're a black, you already have a problem. If you are born a black African, so if you're born a black and you're in the first world, you have some privileges, right? Even though you still have a problem, but you have some privileges. If you're a black born in Africa, right, you have a problem. But you could be born in other countries that are, more well off, more positioned and all of that. Now, if you are a black born in Africa and in Nigeria, you know that your fight has to be critically different. Why? Because the reality is telling. The environment is not favorable to promote wealth. The environment does not support wealth. So because of that, the environment is already beating you. You're born in an environment that uses poverty as a tool of control. Then you have ignorant parents. Of course, there is a way you parent a child, but most times, most parents are very ignorant on how you parent a child. They just believe that just give birth to children, the children will grow. Some will even tell you that it is God that takes care of children. God can take care of children, but God does not train children. And parenting is a leverage. So what that means is that as a parent, there is supposed to be some opportunities. There are supposed to be some capital. Do you understand? There's supposed to be some capital that you're supposed to make available for your children, which they can leverage on to climb the financial wavelength of life. Then the other one is poor family. So if you're in a poor environment, born to ignorant parents, and into a poor family, then it is a very sorry situation. That means you are born at the bottom of the financial wavelength. That's where you are, right? That's where you are. Now, the second level there are a couple of other people. Probably they are in a poor environment, but their parents, they are born into a family where the parents are enlightened. Okay, the parents are enlightened. So the parents were able to do some things. There are some people that the parents had to even migrate. They left the country and moved to other countries. Say, oh, I want to provide a better opportunity for my kids, right? They were able to do things. There were also some people that are, even though they are in a poor environment, the parents are not ignorant. They are enlightened on how to take care of children, and they are also wealthy, because the fact that there's poverty in the environment does not mean that everybody in the environment will be poor, right? So you can be in a poor environment, but your personal economy gives you access to wealth. That is why you still find wealthy people even in the poorest countries in the world. Okay, so if there is a shift, if there is a significant shift in these three elements, then the person will most likely be found on this part, right? At level 2, that's the path. The person will be born on the path, right? The person will be born on the path. Now, if, for example, when you look at the kids, when you look at people like Bill Gates, when you look at people like Elon Musk, when you look at people like Dangote, when you look at people like Femi Otedola and all of that, Femi Otedola was not born, all these guys were not born at the bottom. They were born on the path to the peak. Why? Because the parents were not at the peak of wealth. Their parents were not the richest people at that time, but they knew something that other people didn't know, and they were doing something that other people were not doing. But more importantly, they were providing parental leverage which their kids could use. That is why we hear stories like, oh, how Bill Gates' mom was very instrumental in helping Bill Gates to secure a contract with IBM. That's where we hear stories like how Elon Musk was able to have opportunity to read all the kind of books he read, and how he migrated to the US, right? Stories of Barack Obama, right? He's born to a poor immigrant from Kenya, but that was not the whole story. This man left Kenya and went to the US to study, right? Dangote, his uncle gave him money, which served as his seed capital. Somebody like Otedola, his father gave him a loan of, a certain amount of money at that time that helped him to start his life. So these guys were not born at the shore. They were born at the path, right? And it was those opportunities that they were given that helped them to climb to the peak. Now, when you look at this path, right? If you're born at the path, there are a couple of things that could happen. If you're born at the path, you could climb to the peak, or you could fall to the shore. For example, children of middle class workers, people that are, they are not poor, they are not struggling, but they're also not rich, right? They're also not financially well off. They are just putting things together. They can afford their bills and all of that. Now, if those children are not trained properly, given the right instructions, they will fall to the shore. That's why it's very difficult for you to find the children of middle class. Okay? Many children of middle class parents don't grow to the peak. They always come down. Because on this path, if you're born on the path, you could either go up or you could come down. It is not a must that you must go up. Most times you will come down, especially if the weight of the environment is heavy, and if the programming from the family is not altered, you're most likely going to also fall back, right? So this is the financial wavelength. This is the financial wavelength. And I want you to know that as you're here, you guys are young, you're planning to start a family, and some of you have already started you have a young family. You need to know the position you are in on this financial wavelength, so you'll be able to know how to position yourself and your children. Because that is very important. Knowing where you fall here will help you to know how to position yourself and your children. Also, knowing where you are on this path will help you to know the kind of things that you need to learn even as you're climbing up, so that you don't fall to the shore or to the bottom of this financial wavelength. You also need to understand that being born at the peak, right? Being born at the peak of the financial wavelength is not a guarantee that you will remain at the peak. It's not a guarantee that you remain at the peak, right? If you are born at the peak, you can fall to the middle, right? To point 2, or you can fall to the bottom, point 1. That is possible. And what happens? Most times, a lot of people, right? A lot of people build wealth, but they don't get to teach their kids the things that they learned that help them to build wealth. They exclude their children from all the difficulties. They exclude their children from all the hustle, all the mindset and all of that enable them to climb to the top. And that is why when we talk about wealth preservation, one of the things we teach in School of Money and Investment is not just about how to make money, it's also about how to preserve wealth. And one of those is that you should have a family wealth arrangement. That family wealth arrangement could include you having a family office. A family office is an arrangement where you have professionals that help you and advise you, professionals whose job is to help you and advise you on how to grow your money, right? And when you have a structured wealth growth arrangement, one of the things that will happen is that you will have a wealth covenant, you will have wealth constitution, you have family constitution, and in your family constitution, you are going to have rules and regulations that guide the people that will take after you, your children, of course, or whoever it is that you're bringing on board that will take after the wealth when you're no more. So when you have a rising generation, because your kids, the people who are coming after you, are rising generations, right? They are rising. They are looking at you as you're growing and doing this thing and fading out as you're getting older. They are rising to take over from you. But they need to be trained and properly instructed for them to be able to know what to do and do it right. So a lot of families that built wealth lost their wealth because of the fact that the people who took over did not understand the things that they knew. And most wealth, research shows that most wealth dissipates at the third generation. It's only few people like the Rockefellers and all of that that have managed to transfer their wealth beyond third generations, right? And a lot of Africans are not on that list. A lot of Africans don't build wealth that transcend generations. So, and where that problem comes is because of the fact that there is no wealth preservation system. So the kids don't even know the books that their father read to know how to sell. The kids don't even know the books that their father read to know how to manage money. There was no system that taught the kids the things they were supposed to know as far as money is concerned. So what happens is that those kids will waste this money and come to the part where the family is just a middle class family, and then their own children will just take over and destroy everything, and the family goes back to the trough. So the family will remain at the trough until probably someone else comes from one of the generations to figure out that, oh, there's something we can do to rise, and then there is that journey again. So it's not just good enough for you to build wealth and be at the peak of your wealth. You also need to understand that you need to preserve wealth. Preservation of wealth is very important. The money sense framework is about helping you to understand what money is, how money works, and how to make money work for you. Now, when it comes to making money work for you, we have your money psychology, being able to understand that. We have you being able to manage yourself around money. We have you being able to manage your income properly. We have you being able to grow the money that comes through your income. And then we have preservation of wealth. Because if you grow what you're making, but you don't train the people, or you don't have a system, right? You don't have a process that will help the people who are coming behind you, not just to preserve what you have, but to grow it, then you have a problem. That is why in wealth preservation conversation, one of the things that the family wealth covenant, because you're supposed to have a family wealth covenant with your kids, right? The family wealth covenant will always be that whatsoever I meet, I will grow it. That's one of the key things that must be found in the family wealth covenant. So if you are worth, say, $1 billion, right, in your lifetime, you're able to amass $1 billion, the next person that is taking over as the patriarch or the matriarch of the family will sign, right, we subscribe to that covenant and agree that whatsoever he finds, he will grow it. One of the things I've seen talking with people most times is that you will see that these people have built things. In fact, there was a woman I was speaking with one time, and she was telling me that her father had a hospital, right? Her father had a hospital. She's also a medical doctor, but she's not practicing in Nigeria. She's practicing abroad, right? But her father had a hospital here in Nigeria. She said, as at the time we met, she said she came back to Nigeria to see how she can sell off the hospital because she doesn't have interest of returning back to Nigeria. And I just told her that what you're doing is called destruction of wealth, because your father had come to a point that he has built and came to the level where he had built a hospital, and you took passion in medicine and you went ahead to study medicine. But now, instead of you to see how you can build this thing and make it bigger, expand it, and probably even take it to other countries, what you want to do is to sell it off and go back to the country you're coming from because you believe that you're not coming back to this country again. That is destruction of wealth, and that is what happens in a lot of homes. So beyond just finding a way to get here, you must make sure that you're preserving whatever it is that you have built. The reason why families are always coming from the trough, no matter the situation, is because of the fact that people start from the trough, build possibly to the past. They don't teach anything to their kids. They don't even understand what they are doing. And then the kids come from here, they move back to the trough instead of them to use what has been given to them to move up till they get to the peak. Now, if you look at all the richest men in the world, they are not rich. Their parents were not as rich, with the exception of somebody like Dangote, right? Whose great-grandfather was also one of the richest men in Africa in his time. Okay? But what happened is that these people were the middle, they were the past, but they learned things that they used to help themselves and their children. They learned things that they used to instruct their children so that their children could travel from the past to the peak. And if you look at those of them who are there now, they are preparing their kids, not just for their kids to remain at the peak, but the kids to expand the peak. So you need to know where you are and understand that where you are is not fixed. You could be born at the point 1, it could be born at point 2 or point 3. That does not matter. It doesn't mean anything. You just need to find out what you can do with what you have so you can be able to have more. Now, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, if you're finding this interesting, please like, subscribe, and share this video to your communities and networks so that we can have this message get to more hands. And it will also help us to be able to produce more content like this. If you're serious in getting into the business of improving your own financial education so that you can be able to make informed financial decisions and optimized investment choices, then I invite you to join the next cohort of the School of Money and Investment. It's going to help you, it's going to set you up, it's going to set you apart and help you to be able to learn not just what money is and how money works, but also how to make money work for you. If this is your desire, send a WhatsApp message to the number appearing on your screen right now so that we can onboard you into the next cohort of the School of Money and Investment. So that is what you need to understand. And when you understand that, it helps you to really know how to program yourself and how to position yourself. I hope I've been able to help you today. Thank you for participating in this class and thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate you.